Greetings and welcome back to the Osha Cerese Show. I'm your host, Osha Cerese, and this is where culture meets coaching, where healing meets headlines, and where we utilize alchemy to transmute gossip into growth. Again, I'm Osha Cerese. I am a certified life coach, event curator, and a dream doula, supporting you with birthing your ideas into life. So, welcome back. Welcome back. This is episode 24. We've been going strong. And boy, oh boy, it's been a long day. So I'm grateful that I made it here right before midnight. It's midnight now, but I made it. It's episode 24. Literally showing up every day for an hour, at least an hour or more, has been challenging, but we've been doing this. So thank you for those of you who have been tuning in. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, please do so now. That is where the Osha Cerese Show lives. That is where you can catch up on all the previous episodes. Just put it on a loop. I'm actually going to make a playlist because I'm just give me a little second. I'm catching up with the descriptions and all that. I just, this has been a pop-up show, so trying to see what works and what's the best way to do it. So I appreciate all of you all who have been staying tuned and watching it and supporting it and letting me know feedback. I appreciate that. Giving me feedback. So again, the link is in my bio to subscribe to my channel. It's youtube.com/at Osha Cerese. That's OSHACERESE. Don't just subscribe, also turn your notifications on because this is a pop-up show like I just mentioned. You never know what time I might pop up. It might be early in the morning, it might be the afternoon, evening, or night, late night. Until we get a little consistency, make sure you have your notifications turned on. What else is going on? Like I said, today has been a long day. Yeah, I was up late, y'all. I was up till about, or I guess, is it considered late or early? But I was up till about 5 or so this AM, and I was up. I was live on another platform, and just vibing and talking to them while I was working. And yeah, so in other news, I got back on my yoga mat 2 days ago, so this will be day 3. I coined it "Return of the Mat" because I'm not an advanced yogi, but I practice yoga, and when I'm consistent with it and I show up on my mat every day, I notice a difference. But it's one of those things that sometimes if you fall off, you turn around and it's been months, and it's been months for me. So I returned to the mat. It's been a nice journey. I'm already back in love with yoga, and I will be doing some yoga after I get off this show tonight. So that's a couple of little updates on what I got going on. Um, the drink of the night. I don't know how this is gonna taste. I just whipped this up. I haven't been juicing in the past few days. I got some fruit in there that I need to juice. I'm gonna hold myself accountable by making this announcement. I'm gonna make some juice tomorrow. So if I don't have some fresh juice tomorrow evening when I come on this show, y'all tell me that I ain't do what I said I was gonna do. But this is lemonade, right? It looks funny though, right? I literally just whipped this up with some spring water, some lemons, and some agave. Now, I love agave, but I don't always love it in lemonade. So we're gonna see how this tastes. I don't know. We'll see. You'll see by the way I look. But I was gonna just drink some water, but I always do a cheers. And I heard you're not supposed to do that with water. So I whipped this up real quick. So anyway, cheers to happiness, great health, success, love, abundance, and just joy. All right. Cheers. It's not bad. It's actually good. Okay. I rock with that. Um, that was all right. So, excuse me if my energy is a little bit off, y'all. Like I said, I was up until damn near 6 a.m. And I had to drive. I was driving all day today, mostly. I had to do something. I had to take some things to the school. Um, a little side thing that I do, a sales position that I have where it's after school stuff. So I have to sometimes deliver the flyers for the after school thing for my contracts. And how about I put it in my GPS, the name of the school, and it was about, I think it said it was an hour away. We live in Atlanta. I live in the Atlanta metro area, so you can be driving for an hour plus and still be in the Atlanta metro area. So I get out there, I go pick up the flyers, I go get some gas, and I'm like, okay, cool. Drive hour, no big deal. I get there, I ask for the lady, my contact that I'm supposed to be bringing these flyers to. They're like, you mean such and such? I'm like, no, her name is this. And everybody's looking confused. I'm like, what is going on? They don't know the staff name. I showed them the email and everything, and they're like, no. They're like, are you sure it was this school? I'm like, this is such and such school, right? And it was like, yeah. But you're sure it wasn't the one that's in another county? And I'm like, I didn't even know it was two schools with the same name. When I put the other school that I was supposed to be in the GPS, it was an hour and 40 minutes away from where I was. And I don't often drive the freeway, the highway, whatever you want to call it, unless I absolutely have to, because folks be driving crazy out here. Not that they don't drive crazy on the street, but it's too fast and too much going on the highway. So I avoid it whenever possible. I ended up taking the street, and an hour and 40 minutes driving after already driving an hour and some change, and then having to drive home 40 something minutes away. So I was driving for about 5 hours, and I was exhausted because, again, I was up late and I got up earlier than I wanted to. So if I'm a little drowsy sounding, just give me some grace. We gonna get into the show. But anyway, happy Black History Month. We're celebrating Black history all month long and beyond. So the Black History Spotlight of the day, let me get to my notes, is Carter G. Woodson. So again, since it's Black History Month, I've been spotlighting different people, different families. The first part of the month, we were spotlighting Black love in celebration of Black Love Day and Valentine's Day. And we are celebrating Carter G. Woodson today. He was born on December 19th, 1875 in New Canton, Virginia, to parents who had been enslaved. Despite limited formal education, he worked hard, spending his early years in coal mines, while teaching himself. He eventually earned his PhD from Harvard University in 1912, becoming the second African American to do so after W.E.B. Du Bois. In 1915, he founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History to document and celebrate Black contributions. The following year, he launched Negro History Week, which later evolved into what we now celebrate as Black History Month. His book, The Miseducation of the Negro, which was published in 1933, remains one of the most influential works on systemic oppression and the importance of self-education. Woodson believed that understanding history was key to shaping our future. His legacy reminds us that reclaiming our stories is a form of empowerment. And with that, let's transition into the main topic. But before we get into that, it is so important. I just wanted to double down on what his message is. It is so important to know our history, but also not just stopping at Black History Month. Always knowing your history, reading and sharing and listening to your elders, listening to our elders. They have lots of stories. You know, if I knew then what I know now, I would be asking my grandparents so many more questions. I still have lots of aunts and uncles that I, just value their insight and their conversations. I used to love just sitting and listening to my grandma talk. And now that I think about it, I've been sharing a lot out of my scrapbook this week. I shared I shared some songs and poetry out of my old scrapbook the other day. And I talked to y'all about my love of photography, photos and capturing history through memories and all of that yesterday. But in this scrapbook, I also, like I told y'all, the scrapbook needs to be rebound. But I have an interview that I did with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, when I was 14. So let me see. She was 42 years older than me, so she probably was, hold on, did I get the math right? Is she 42 years older than me? So she was about 50 when we did this. Let me see here. I mean, not 50. How old was she? Do the math for me, y'all. Was she 60? She was 60. So, I asked her some of these questions. I won't share because they were a little personal. But I asked her what kind of experiences did she have in the civil rights movement. And she said she was in the 7th or 8th grade when Martin Luther King came to Birmingham. She really did not know that he was as famous as he turned out to be. She just thought that he was a wonderful preacher. He came down to 16th Street Baptist Church and they all boycotted, where all the other people were saying, "Run, children, run for your freedom." This is my handwriting from when I was a child, y'all, and it's super small. She said it was quite an experience for me. My parents were very upset at the fact that I wanted to march. And she said, I said to myself, I didn't want my children to go through it. So yes, my grandmother marched with Dr. King. She was a child at the time, but she was a part of the movement in Birmingham. She also went to school with the 4 little girls that were bombed at the 16th Street Baptist Church. So know your history, talk to your elders, and take advantage of the wisdom that they have while they're here. Interview your people, put it on film, put it on paper, and document this. This was actually a recorded interview on a cassette tape, and growing, just getting older and moving a lot. I do not know where that cassette tape is. I don't know where it is, and I'm hoping one day it'll come up. But yeah, I recorded that interview. I asked my grandmother several questions. But know your history, learn and share. And we have history of ourselves. Even if we're younger, we're not an elder, we're not a grandparent yet. Share what you know from what you've heard and what you've learned from your people to your children, your nieces, your nephews, your little cousins. Keep them informed, because it's up to us to keep our history alive and preserved. Because as we know, people are trying to silence it. They're trying to avoid it from being spread. They're trying to change history, rewrite history. So it's up to us to preserve it and keep it passed down from generation to generation. So I just want to say that before we get into this messy ass conversation. So if you saw the title, we're gonna get into Neo a little bit, because Neo been going viral a lot lately for his newfound relationship status. So we did talk about different types of relationships, including polygamy, polyamory, and all that on a previous episode that you can check under my live videos on YouTube. But I don't think we went too specific into Neo's situation. He's recently been going viral, but it sparked me to want to just revisit his relationship timeline. So if you don't remember, Neo, he's had very public relationships. I don't know what he was doing before the fame or in between these relationships, if there were any, but every relationship he's been in has been publicized for some damn drama. So if you need a refresher, Neo, we know who Neo is. He's known for Miss Independent, So Sick. He wrote You Should Let Me Love You by Mario. His pen game is tight. His songs are nice. He can sing. He's talented. All that. Not taking that away from him. But when it comes to relationships, it seems like it's always a mess with him. So he has 2 children, 14 and 13 years old, with his ex-fiance, Monyetta Shaw Carter, because she's married now. And with Monyetta, the reason why it really went viral with him and her relationship is because, I'm trying to get to my notes, they were engaged. Again, they have their 2 children. And during their relationship, according to Monyetta, Neo convinced her to undergo a tubal ligation, or to get her tubes tied to prevent future pregnancy, because he claimed that he didn't want any more children. And she actually did want more children, but based on his wishes, she decided to get her tubes tied. Now, I know that we don't talk about it as much, maybe not in our community or whatever, but there is an option to get a vasectomy as a man, if you no longer want children and you're in a long-term relationship where you're not using condoms anymore. Having a tubal ligation, getting a woman having her tubes tied, is a big deal. It's a big procedure. And I don't think it's as easily reversed as a vasectomy. So for whatever reason, she allowed him to convince her to get it done, and she dealt with some emotional trauma behind it. I think that, combined with him moving on, definitely put her through some heartbreak. So I will say about that, like, you have to know what it is that you're wanting. And I'm always going to preach vetting, why it's so important to vet. And not saying that people don't change, they don't change their minds, they don't switch up once y'all get in a relationship, but like having those shared values. So was she aware that she wanted more than 2 children before she got with Neo? I'm not sure. But just so we could pull the lessons from the celebrity gossip, because this show is about pulling the lessons, not just talking about these folks that don't give a damn about us, and we really don't give a damn about either. But it's important to have these conversations. That's why it's so important to get to know yourself and to really know how you want to be in your future. Like, are you open or willing to have a limit on the amount of children you have or you desire, if your partner doesn't want the same things? Even having that conversation about, okay, if we're in a long-term relationship, most likely we're not going to want to use protection. Birth control can be a whole pain in the ass by itself. I know personally, both times that I've been on birth control, there were challenges that came along with it. The first time I was on birth control, I almost died. Um, just for awareness, I got on birth control when I was underage. So I was like 17, senior year of high school, because there was a clinic that was right down the street from our high school. I wasn't even doing nothing to really need no birth control, but it was just like the access to this clinic was right there. All the kids used to go down there. They used to basically give you options. Like, they had a thing of condoms. They want to tell you about birth control. And basically, because of HIPAA laws, they weren't required to reach out to anybody's parents in order to do this, which, when I'm looking back as an adult, although I do believe in some type of privacy when it comes to a young teenager, there's some things that you should be able to keep to yourself and tell your parents when you're ready to. And that's very little things. I'm not talking about like doing things that are unsafe or harming you, but just being able to have the right to give that information to your parents on your time. That, I think, when it comes to anything that's releasing any type of hormones into your body and has side effects, that was definitely irresponsible of that clinic, of those medical providers to do that. And I think, I don't know the age of consent now when it comes to getting birth control. As a teenager, I can't remember. And I worked in pediatrics for over 5 years as a nurse, but let me see if I can look it up, because I think this is important information to know. I didn't realize I was going to talk about this, so I wasn't prepared um, with this specific statistic. Because these are the things we need to know. So it says the age at which a teenager can get birth control without parental consent depends on the state laws and the circumstances of the teenager. In most states, minors can get birth control without parental consent. Some states allow minors to get birth control only if they are married, pregnant, or have history of pregnancy. Some states have no laws about whether minors can get birth control without parental consent. So it looks like it's still just as lenient. And I do feel like minors should have access to contraceptives for sure. But when it comes to something that can possibly harm or kill your child, I definitely think that there should be more precautions and more consent required. So with the NuvaRing, I believe, releases estrogen in the body. It's like a little plastic ring. I have to get used to this being backwards, y'all. That's why I look like. So a plastic ring, it's flexible like this. You insert it and you leave it in for I think you leave it in for 3 weeks, and then you remove it for a week to have a cycle. So I remember the first night that I had the birth control in. I remember my legs were hurting. My legs felt weird. Like it felt like almost like pulsating sensations in my legs, and they were a little restless that night. And then maybe after the second month of me doing, maybe second or third month of me actually using the NuvaRing, I started having severe shortness of breath. Like literally I could just sit up in my bed and be out of breath. Walk to the kitchen, short of breath. Walking anywhere, short of breath. And I'm like, what is going on? But I didn't think it was like anything life or death. I just thought like, damn, I'm just so winded now. And then one day I was laying in bed. My parents were in the living room talking, and all of a sudden I just had this super sharp pain in my ribs. And I was just, every time I breathed in, this pain would happen. So I started yelling for my mom. And when she came in, she was like, trying to see what was going on. I think my grandma had called her too. My grandma was super spiritual, the same grandma I just read that interview from. She called my mom and was like, you need to go check on Osha. My grandma was one of those spirit done told me this type women. So she came in my room and I was in tears. And so I think at the time we had car trouble or something. So we had to like walk to the bus stop, go really far walking. And I literally had to take breaks every few steps to catch my breath. We got on the bus, we got to the emergency room. They started doing all type of tests. Didn't really know what was going on at first. And I want to say they did a chest x-ray last or something. Come to find out, I had pulmonary embolism. I had large blood clots in both lungs. Ended up having to be in the ICU. And the ICU physician walked in and looked at me like he saw a ghost. And after looking at my x-rays, and he was just confused as to why I was still here. Stayed in the ICU for a few days, I think, then stayed in the hospital. They put me on blood thinners, so I had to be on Lovenox, which is like heparin, giving myself shots in the stomach or in the abdomen for 3 weeks. And then I was on blood thinners, Coumadin or warfarin, for about 6 months. Had to go to the doctor every month or a few weeks to a month to test my levels to make sure my blood was thin. And at that point, since then, since that's happened, I can't be on any birth control that has an increased amount of estrogen. So literally almost died. And what if I would have? And this clinic that is seeing teenagers that's right down the street from this high school, probably getting government funding or whatever to see a certain amount of kids or whatever they got out of it. And I do feel like kids, teenagers, minors, especially if they're sexually active or whatever, should have access to health care and contraceptives and all of that. But when it comes to hormones, like, did they know? Y'all, my family history, you got to ask these kids. They not gonna know, probably, the family medical history. Do blood clots run in your family? Test Do some tests to find out if they can even handle that type of hormone, and give them signs like, if you experience this, if you have shortness of breath, if you have chest pain, if you feel any type of whatever, talk to me about it, consult with me so that we can find out if your birth control is negatively affecting you. And none of that was given to me. None of that information was given to me. Then the nurse, I didn't want my daddy to know what the reason was, because that's embarrassing. And one of the nurses told my dad when he came, that it was due to the birth control. So I'm like, how embarrassing. That really was a violation of of HIPAA laws too, so I could have sued. So after that, I was on birth control one other time with this birth control called the Mirena. It's a IUD, but there's two types of IUDs. There's the copper IUD, the Paragard, or the Mirena. There's other names, brand names or whatever. And that the one that releases progesterone, however you call it. And I was on that for about 3.5, 4 years. But there were side effects with that too. Like, just, it did cure. I used to have really severe menstrual cramps, so it did cure me of that. But there were other things that I'm just not into birth control. So that's not always an option for women. But tying your tubes is a big deal, especially if you still want children. So for Manietta to have done that, and then Neo just keep skipping along and continue to have more children, that was harmful for her. So I just feel like it's really important to have these type of conversations when you are trying to get with someone on a serious level and you're still in the baby making business. Like, find out what it is that you two want, how you're going to go about handling that, because you got to be on one accord when, or you should. I suggest, I encourage you to be on one accord when it comes to something as big as children. So if you know that you're going to be long term with this person, and most likely you're not going to be using condoms, you're not going to be using birth control if that's not available to you or not an option for you. So then what do? If you all don't want children, or if you want a certain amount of children and you want to stop after that, what is the plan? So again, vasectomies is an option. And then there's natural ways to lower your chances of having children. And usually full spectrum doulas are a good resource to connect with when it comes to like natural birth control. I know Earth PS Love Jolie, I think her name is on. Let me see. Let me get it right. Her handle is, yeah, PS Love Jolie, PSLOVJOLI. Her name is Earth. She has a Patreon, and she gives certain recipes and different methods of birth control, natural birth control. I know some of it is like using neem oil, taking it orally, like neem capsules, and also inserting it. And both partners can do that. And there's other things that's not needed for me right now, so I don't know all the recipes, but that's a resource that you can tap into if you are looking for natural remedies for birth control. But do it. And then also, the old school method still has some efficiency. Like, It might not be 100% proof, just like condoms aren't 100% proof, and birth control is not 100% proof. And even sometimes people can get pregnant after getting their tube side and vasectomy. Things happen where you can still get pregnant, but the good old rhythm method, paying attention to knowing your cycle, and knowing your cycle, charting your cycle, putting it in your calendar. There's apps for that. There are tools where you can find out when you're ovulating. Just like a birth control test, there's ovulation tests. So you can do the rhythm method with knowing your cycle, knowing that you're ovulate the times that you're ovulating, and knowing that a few days before and after that you're still fertile. And then the pull out method in connection with, in collaboration with the rhythm method, knowing your cycle, getting the test of knowing when you're most fertile, and pull out. Pre-cum is a thing, but it's not as, potent. It might be just as potent, but you're less likely to get pregnant off of that than you just shooting up the club, if you know what I'm talking about. So having those conversations, being on one accord about it, having a plan of action, and then be honest with yourself, because if you want more children than what your partner wants, you have to be honest about whether or not that's going to work for you and make your decisions from there. So then your boy Neo, he left that relationship. That was they were together from 2009 to 2013. So I feel like they were together longer than that, but it says, my notes say 2009 to 2013. Then he got with Crystal Renee, 2014 to 2022. That was another thing that kind of sparked some insecurities or some feelings with Monyetta Shaw's, feeling like maybe he went on and moved on and had children with Crystal Renee because she's lighter skinned. And maybe he wanted some light skinned babies. I don't know. She was thinking colorism might have been a part of it. And not only did he get with her, he also married her. So he never did marry Monyetta, even though they had their history together. I think what it was, I think they started out as friends. So I think they've known each other way before they were actually together. That's why I feel like they were together longer than that. But he married Crystal Renee in 2016, so 2 years into their relationship. And they have 3 children. So the man that told her to get her tube tied has moved on, gotten married, and had not 1, not 2, but 3 additional children from his wife. So, they seemingly had it all together. They were one of those IG couples, kind of like it was giving, when Jeezy and Jeannie Mai were together. Like, you see all these dope reels, and you see them on vacation, and it just looks like it's picture perfect, and then all of a sudden there's trouble in paradise. So they started having like infidelity rumors in 2020, and they announced the divorce, but then all of a sudden in 2022, no, before 2022, in 2020, they announced their divorce, and then all of a sudden they were back together. They renewed their vows. They had this big extravagant video that they put out with them renewing their vows and these beautiful gowns and suits and all of this stuff. But then by 2022, Crystal ended up filing for divorce again for cheating. So ZDog.official says, makes sense, but people out here doing whatever with no future plans. Correct. They are. Yeah. That's why I'm here to encourage you all to start vetting before dating. Start having these serious conversations. Find out, discovering what you want and what you need, so that it's not, when you get a partner, this is not the first time you have to figure these things out. Like, have an idea of what you're desiring for your future. But again, 3 children with Crystal Renee. Then Crystal Renee and Monyetta Shaw had public beef as well. And that's never fun. Having your current spouse and your ex beefing, especially publicly. I think they settled their differences for the children or whatever, but all of that messy stuff, and just, I feel like at this big age, another thing, like, I feel like if you're arguing arguing, that's one of the words that we all say the same in my family, arguing. If you arguing with your man's ex online, it also can be a sign of, what do I want to say without saying what I want to say? I just feel like sometimes it's a sign that your man is low-key not in control of the situation and not making sure that there's respect on both ends. Like, I feel like he has a responsibility to, even though y'all grown, he has a responsibility also to set the tone with that too. And take it from me, I know all about the drama. When I was much younger, in my teens and early 20s, I would be going back and forth on the internet, but not, I don't think I had like a public, I don't think I ever had a public argument with another woman. It would mostly be like maybe some subliminals, but we in the DMs cussing each other out. But yeah, when you having public fights and stuff, it's just, and then your kids gonna grow up and be able to see it and read about it too. So it's just messy. But then Neo goes on from Crystal Renee and allegedly started having children with another woman who is a influencer named Sade Jania or Janae Bagneries. If that's how you say it, I don't know. But like the relationship with Crystal Renee is like she spent all the years beefing with Monyetta Shaw only for her to have similar issues with this man. Why is he the problem? I don't know. Maybe he's not. So shortly after his marriage ended, which I feel like the affair started while he was still married, Neo had two children by influencer Sade Janae while co-parenting. Um, it kind of came out in a messy way, but she's the one that has recently gone viral with him in the news. So let me play the clip. Let me roll the clip and let's talk about this topic. Where's the clip? Here it is.
About that? About your relationship? Your kids have questions about that? About your relationship?
Of course they do, and I answer them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Honesty. Again, I'm not lying to nobody, not even my children. Hey, this is daddy's girlfriend, and so is that, and so is that, and so is that. You got no problem. She gonna make you some cereal, and she gonna cook lunch, and she gonna wash clothes. Come on, it's all good. It's family. It's community. That's what it's about.
Your kids have questions about.
So the clip that I'm playing is Neo was recently in a radio interview, and they were asked, or it was actually on Ricky Smiley morning show, and they asked him if his children know about his lifestyle, which he's now in a poly lifestyle with multiple girlfriends, maybe 4 or 5 girlfriends. They asked him, does he bring this lifestyle around his kids or talk to his kids about it? And he's like, yeah, I'm not hiding anything from anybody. And he's basically like, yep, that's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend. She my girlfriend too. She gonna make you cereal. She gonna make lunch. And he's saying it's like a community, which we talked about all these different dynamics of relationships on the previous episode of the Osha Cerese Show, where I went into how, initially polygamy and stuff was supposed to be like building community, having that village, leaning into everybody has their shared gift that they are pouring into these children. Everybody has a present father. Some people are operating these polyamorous relationships like a empire building village, and some people just freaks. They just want to be freaky and want to have multiple girlfriends and trying to make it seem like it's deeper than what it is. And I have a feeling that Neo is just on some freaky shit. Like, you just want to have multiple women for whatever reason, and you think you look cool. So his recent children's mother, Sade, said, and didn't I tell your corny ass not to have that shit going on in front of my kids, to do that cornball shit on your own time. And then she said, then she said, some of these cuss words is blurred out. That shit's sick as fuck. You hella fucking weird for that, Neo. But I'm glad you think I'm playing with you after I done already warned you I'm not playing about my kids. She said, and poly relationships aren't 5+ girlfriends that party with you every night so you can pick up more girls to hook up with. That is what you call an open relationship. And she put a rainbow after it. I don't know why. Um, you're a wannabe boyfriend, pimp slash trick. You, hold on. She said, you like, you like the GFE. What does that mean? Let's look it up. She said, stop disrespecting Polly. There's nothing exclusive about what you got going on, weirdo. Keep that shit away from my kids. I don't know why I got tickled off of that you're a wannabe boyfriend pimp slash trick. I don't know why that made me laugh. But what's a GFE? Girlfriend experience. A professional that kisses and cuddles her clients and gives them intimacy. Look. Let's look. According to the Urban Dictionary, girlfriend experience. Escort relationship with more direct contact. Acts like a girlfriend. The provider or escort will provide a girlfriend experience, meaning she may do some or all of the following, further determining if she is a full girlfriend experience or a light girlfriend experience. Talking first, then playing, kissing, letting the client. Okay, it's a little explicit, but I'm assuming that's what she meant. That's the definition that came up. So Z Dog says, makes sense, but people out here know. Oh, I already read that. He said, these women are whole adults and make decisions just like every other adult with a functioning brain. Can't blame Neo for taking advantage of fine, freaky women. So many dudes with too much money and women want that money. Yeah, it's not all him. Like you said, you're right. There are grown women that make fully informed decisions as well. And I don't know what the dynamics were of why they decided to choose him despite knowing whatever. I think with Manetta, I believe she knew him before, maybe before his fame. Let me see. Let's get the facts. Let's see here if I can find the information. So it says that they met before they became famous at a Jamie Foxx concert. They began dating in 2009 and were engaged in 2010. Manetta Shaw is a radio personality and star of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I guess they met before. When did he get famous? When did Neo? Says early 2006 was the release of his first album. So I guess she wasn't famous, but they met at a concert. Maybe he wasn't all that. I don't know. But I feel like she probably didn't. She didn't have anything to base his character off of like the other women did. But of course, she did have the right to decide whether or not she was going to tie her tubes for whatever reason. Why she did that, I don't know. But again, you got to know what you want and what you're willing to do and what the consequences are of that. So, again, now that Neo is out with this polygamous lifestyle, having multiple women, it definitely gives just, having multiple women. It doesn't seem like this is one big home and happy family where I don't know. I only know what he shows online, and what he shows online doesn't give this is a empire that I'm building. But hey, maybe it is. It's whatever. That's his business. But why I brought it up is because how do you all feel about even with this lifestyle change? and the mother of his children, his youngest two children, not wanting them exposed to the lifestyle, but he is their father. So he is exercising his right to expose them to whatever he deems appropriate when they're in his care. He's not considering the feelings of their mother, who doesn't want them exposed to this, which is also an important reason, which, a lot of people are condemning her for being a side chick. And, now you're exercising your morals. But at the same time, regardless how the children got here, she is their mother, and this is not appropriate to her. But at the same time, when you have a co-parent, sometimes they're gonna do something that you don't agree with, and this is one of those cases. And it's unfortunate that he's not considering her feelings about it, but that is what it is, which is why it's also important to discuss and get to know people and get to know their values and find out, if they align with yours. And again, this is a new thing that Neo is coming out with. He hasn't always claimed to be polygamous. He says that he's never been able to have a successful monogamous relationship because deep down he's always been polygamous. So now he's living his dream. So again, I encourage y'all to take your time when it comes to deciding who you're going to have children with, and stop playing with people. If you know that it ain't what you want, don't waste nobody's time. Don't play games. Don't manipulate. Don't sweet talk into trying to get somebody to do what you want them to do. Um, I didn't talk about this yesterday, but I told y'all about the situation where I posted on Threads about how I stopped talking to this guy because of he said he wasn't going to be my photographer. So if you want to see the back story to that, go to episode 23. So there was there was a guy on in my comments, seemingly looked like maybe he's in his 20s, and he basically was saying, "Oh, he should have just took the pictures and smashed first, and then once he got in your head, then set the boundary." And I questioned him about it. I'm like, "What made you think that was an option, first of all?" And based on his comments, I told him, like, you and I wouldn't never even made it on a date, let alone anything further than that. And he was like, "You're so gullible. Men have been playing games with women for ages, and basically they'll tell you anything they want to hear so they can get with you or whatever." And I'm just like, I understand that. I told him, "You're gullible if you think my grown ass can't keep game." And I'm not saying that I'm above being manipulated, because I'm not going to sit here and challenge the universe to show me that I can be manipulated. But but what I am saying is that some things are easier to do with someone who doesn't have experiences, hasn't learned from those experiences, can't you tap into their discernment, and it's just being not being honest with themselves. So I'm saying all this to say that yes, manipulation is real, but also learn how to peep game. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But I want to hear y'all's. I want to hear your feedback and your thoughts about the parenting and the personal choices. I don't like to speak too much on parenting because I'm not a parent yet, and I know how y'all get your feathers ruffled when people without children yet start speaking on parenting. But I will talk about having conversations prior to becoming a parent. And I'm going to ask you all, how do you feel about um, if your co-parent has a different lifestyle than you agree to? And that could be whether it's polygamy, whether it's a same-sex relationship, whether it's maybe over their house they smoke in front of the kids, or they cuss in front of the kids, or they believe in corporal punishment, or they don't share the same type of dietary. Like maybe you want to raise your child vegan, but when they go over to their dad's house or they go over to their mom's house, they feed them hot dogs and hamburgers. So what do you all think about, having split homes and having to co-parent with different lifestyles? How do you feel Do you feel like it's whatever the parent decides that's with the child, or do you think that everything should be the same across the board? And how do you handle when it's not? Because everybody don't want to keep dragging each other back and forth to court. And I feel like that's the importance too of putting the children first and trying to come up with the best agreements that you can come up with that have the children's best interest in mind, of course, and also just trying to compromise, and consider each other's opinions, as because you're both equally this child's parent. So as much as you can get on the same page is the best. That's what I'm gonna say on that. But vets, y'all, vet, lifestyle compatibility, shared values when it comes to parenting styles, all of that is so important. You got to be careful and not just slip up and fuck around and find out once a child is there. And speaking of slip up and having a baby, I've been watching Love and Hip Hop again lately because I stopped watching Love and Hip Hop because it is toxic. It's not even as interesting as it used to be. But when I don't have want nothing to do, I'm a little bored and I want a little ratchet TV, I'll turn on Love and Hip Hop. So last season, I believe it was. Well, before I even get to that, let's segue into Lil Scrappy. Lil Scrappy, he had a viral moment this year as well, or last year. The put the finger down trend that's on TikTok. Put a finger down if you had this and this and this happen, and da da da, and people use that to tell stories. Where a woman went viral doing the put the finger down challenge, explaining a time where she brought her homegirl in to have a threesome with somebody that she was talking to who was famous. And during that threesome, her homegirl ended up getting pregnant by this famous person and ended up deciding to keep the baby, even though the other girl was the one that was talking to him. The famous person that she was referring to was the rapper Lil Scrappy. We some head busters. We some head busters. That Lil Scrappy. So what had happened was he said that he ended up having, it wasn't really a threesome. It was kind of just like a back-to-back situation where he said that he slept with one and then went into the other room and had sex with the other. Ended up getting them pregnant. My first question is, why are you having unprotected sex with strangers? Why are you not protecting yourself with somebody that you don't know? I doubt that you had her pull out the My Chart or pull out the paperwork before you decided to shoot up the club. That's my first question. Ooh. Never mind that. It happened. The baby is here. But on Love and Hip Hop, the baby is here in real life, but on Love and Hip Hop, because it was filmed last year, it's during the time where the woman is pregnant. Like, Scrappy is like, he accepts the baby. He doesn't need a DNA test to be present in the mother's life as far as like supporting her during the pregnancy. He's going to find out the DNA after the baby gets here, but he's going to show up and assume that the baby is his based on what the woman is telling him that she hasn't been with anybody else. He's agreeing or believing her, and he's present. So he's supportive. He thinks that she's cool. He don't have a problem with her. He says she's cool or whatever. So once the rumor goes around, then his mom gets involved. Y'all know Mama D. She always involved in Scrappy's life. So then she gets involved. She reaches out to the woman. She meets up with her, and she asks if she could throw her a baby shower. And at first, because Lil Scrappy has a young adult daughter that's in college by his ex-fiance, Erica Dixon. Then he has 3 children by his ex-wife, Bambi. When him and his ex-wife Bambi were together, he was beefing with Erica Dixon the whole entire time. They could never get on one accord. They were publicly arguing. Erica and Bambi never got along. There was one family reunion, Love and Hip Hop series that they did where Erica did pull Bambi to the side and basically just try to extend an olive branch for them to get along. And it seemed like they were going to be mature enough to do so. But they ended up falling out again. But it was kind of apparent that Scrappy was beefing with Erica because of Bambi, and because as soon as they got divorced, he instantly got cool with Erica again. So it was like, I've seen this happen in real life where a person will get married and then all of a sudden they hate their ex's guts. And it's always a problem. It's always drama. They can't get along. They can't co-parent successfully and healthy. And it's because of whatever is going on in that marriage where that woman does not want him to respect or be friends or be cordial with his ex. I've seen it with my own two eyes in real life, even though they're real life too, but you could tell that was what was going on. He literally, and it's really unfortunate to me for his oldest daughter because she wasn't able to experience her parents getting along as she was growing up. Now they're getting along, partying together. They seemed like they were dating at one point. Now that she's off to college, but she was robbed of that experience. And it's not just Bambi's fault because Scrappy, you got to be a man and set boundaries as well and be able to say, you know, I have a daughter, I have a child with this woman. We ain't got nothing going on past co-parenting. There's no problem with me respecting her and getting along with her and allowing my daughter to see me and my ex get along, to love on her and support her. So it's not just the blame on his ex-wife. He has to take some accountability of that as well. But Erica forgave him for all that, whatever they went through, and now they cool. So now that this new woman is in the picture, initially both Erica and Bambi seem to kind of embrace the situation publicly. Like, Bambi, even once the news was public, Bambi published a children's book. I think it was called something like Daddy is Bringing Home a New Baby or something like that, to help children understand how to embrace a sibling from a different parent or whatever, from their parent and a different, another parent. So it was part petty, part, I guess, her healing and being able to embrace the situation. But on the show of Love and Hip Hop, Erica Dixon shows up to the baby shower that Mama D is throwing for the child, the new baby and mother that Lil Scrappy has, and she's totally respectful of the woman. They meet, they talk, whatever. Bambi didn't show up to the. I don't even know if she was invited, but she was basically offended by something that Erica Dixon said, as far as her apologizing to her daughter about some drama that they had in the previous years when they were still together, when Bambi and Scrappy was still together. And she went off about hearing Erica Dixon say that, and she basically was like, F all of them, F the new mama too. And so I'm bringing all this up to say, like, at this point, Erica Dixon really technically didn't have to even be involved or embrace the new woman because her and Scrappy's child is above 18. So she doesn't have to deal with it if she doesn't want to. But they're operating as a family, like, we family for life. We got a child together. I guess, even Erica Dixon has twin daughters from another man. So I guess she's just trying to show the woman that she's supportive and she ain't got no beef. But with Bambi having 3 little children under the age of 6, those children are going to have to, be around the new baby and possibly the mother as well. So it takes a lot of maturity to blend families. It takes a lot of maturity to embrace children when you have, your family dynamic and then another child comes in. Again, I'm not a parent yet, but I have experience being a blended family, being the wife of a woman the wife of a man with multiple children by multiple women. So I did experience having to coexist with that dynamic. And I didn't get along with every one of my ex-husband's children's mothers. I got along with the majority, and there were a lot, y'all. That's why I sound like I'm talking about a lot, because it was. I got along with the majority, but the 2 that I didn't get along with, it was very challenging. And so it does take a lot of maturity to be able to co-parent. It takes a lot of maturity to be able to blend the families, to be able to communicate and to try to get along for the children, and just in general. There were times where my stepchildren's mothers was like, I don't even want to talk to their baby daddy, my ex-husband. They wanted to just communicate with me because sometimes they had conflicts within their co-parenting, so they just chose to have me as the middle person, and I didn't mind that. But at the same time, it is a lot to hold space and be the mediator and all of that. So I can only imagine when you do, like, if I was to have had children in that relationship, like that would have been my stepkids would have been my children's siblings, and I would have wanted to have a healthy relationship with all. It would have been important to me for us to all have a healthy relationship. So when me and my ex-husband did divorce, I would have wanted to be comfortable enough for when he has the children. If these other women that you've chosen to have around them, I want them to feel safe. So I think that that's important, to make sure that everybody that's going to be in your child's life is going to be a safe place for them. So it seems like everybody's being mature in the Scrappy situation. The Love and Hip Hop is not showing their current situation, but of course he is posting pictures of him with the baby, his kids with the baby. So it seemed like they worked it out, and I wish them the best on that, because it can be very challenging. But if everybody's mature, everybody keeps their emotions out of it and focuses on the children's best interests, that's the best way. But how do you feel like they should introduce, how do you feel like the little children should be informed about the new baby? Do you think that it was Scrappy's responsibility to talk to his kids about, daddy's having another baby? Do you think it's something that him and Bambi should do together? Or if they did it already, should have done together? Or should she have kind of explained in a way and then he kind of come and talk about it? Or is it something that, can you really explain that to children under 6? Do they really understand? I don't know. So another thing I wanted to talk about Love and Hip Hop before we wrap up, because we right at an hour and 2 minutes. Karlie Redd. Karlie Redd been cutting up on Love and Hip Hop for so long. She's like one of the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta OGs. Because she was on there, Louis Prada Gucci, when Stevie J and Jocelyn was on there. And she was on there shaking the table when K Michelle was on there. She stay in some drama. She crazy. But her most recent things, I know it started out last season. So last season, Bambi, Lil Scrappy's ex-wife, reached out via DM to Karlie Redd's then boyfriend. Reached out to her and reached out to him and asked him if he had any plans for Karlie Redd's birthday. She wanted to know before she started planning. He told her that yes, he was planning a trip to Turks and Caicos, and basically gave her the assignment to invite people and, some other things. Once, I don't know if it happened before the trip or once they were on the trip, but once Karlie Redd caught wind that Bambi reached out to her man, she was livid. Again, let me repeat. Bambi DM'd her boyfriend at the time to find out if he was planning anything for her birthday so that she could support, or so she could know what she needed to do. And Karlie Redd was livid. She feels like she don't want nobody calling her man. She thinks that it is, or calling or reaching out to her man. She thinks that it is against the girl code to contact her man. And she stands on business with that. She does not believe, she even went to the great lengths of saying that even if she was in a car accident, she still wouldn't want nobody calling her man. None of her friends. And I personally think that that is absurd and outlandish. I think that stop calling them your friends. If you can't trust your friend to be able to have a conversation with your man, then you don't trust your man or your friends. And I get, we've all been taught from older generations of women. Sometimes they be like, don't let no woman sit around your house with your man. Don't let no woman get too close to your man, all of that. I get all that. But if you really can't trust the people that are supposed to be in your circle around each other, why are they in your circle? And I'm not being naive about it. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to have to feel like I can't be cool with my folks' man on some, like, whatever relationship I have with a person, their man becomes that too. If it's my cousin, your man is my cousin. If it's my sibling, your man. If it's my sister, your man is my brother. If it's my friend, your man is my friend. Like, on some brother homeboy type stuff. I don't have to be all extra friendly and extra in their face and touchy feely and all that. I know my boundaries. But if I can't have a conversation with them, laugh with them, joke with them, like, in certain settings, or if you don't trust me to be in the room with them at the same time, not bedroom, but like in the same space, if I can't reach out to them, hey, did you have any plans for such and such this year? If I'm planning on something, you don't trust me. So why? I don't want nobody that I can't trust. If I got to second guess and think, huh, then apparently I don't trust my man or my friend. Z-Dog.official says, talk about being dominant and hostile. Elaborate. So I think that it's definitely important to not be naive, but at the same time, if you feel like you have to second guess or control the dynamic in that way, um, there's deeper issues at that point. Now, again, I feel like there's personal boundaries. It's not like anybody need to be sitting up on the phone at the wee hours of the night with your homegirl's man. Hell no. But things like, imagine if your man wants to buy you an engagement ring and you know all about what your friend wants. Is it not okay for him to reach out and be like, look, I'm getting ready to propose. Can you help me pick out the ring, or can you give me your opinion about this, or something that has to do with your friend? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not, that ain't your friend. So Karlie says that she's standing on business about it. She don't care what people think about it. She says that women in Atlanta steal husbands, men, this and this and that. But can your man be stolen? Can somebody steal your man, or is it just two grown people that want to do something and they do it? Like, if all the protection and precautions that you can put up cannot keep somebody who wants to cheat from cheating. And you would think, this is not ageism, but Karlie Redd is over 50 years old. At this point, if a man wants to cheat, ain't nothing your ass can do about it. You can lock him up and he will find a way. Z-Dog says, can't steal something that can fight back. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know about that one. So, Karlie Redd said that she's not insecure. That's not the reason why she feels that way. She just says that that's girl code. But then on this season, the last episode I watched, which I think was sometime last week, she's asking her man if she can plan his bachelor party. Like, girl, what man want his woman to plan his bachelor party? So I think she needs to just kind of release a little bit of that control. She's had a lot of public relationships, and he's much younger than her. I think according to the show, they were going through IVF. I don't know if it's successful or if she's going to have a baby. She has a grown daughter and a grandchild, and she's, planning a family with her new man because he's younger. But all that trying to control him and keep him in a box to, keep him away. And most of the time, a lot of the time, women be feeling like they gotta do all of this, keep their friends away from their man and all of that stuff. Don't nobody want your man, girl. I be saying, even when I don't go to the mall as often because malls are not the same as they used to, but I could just remember when malls were popping, like walking in the mall and then you see a woman's face screw up when she see you walking when she's with her man. Girl, I'm not looking at your man. I don't want your damn man. Sometimes y'all just be thinking that everybody wants your nigga. Excuse my language. Because you want them. Everybody don't want your man. And again, reevaluate your circle if you feel like you can't trust folks. I hear something in the walls. It's time to go to sleep. It's a little woodpecker that pecks outside of this wall and then crawls into it. So I'm going to just say this. Reevaluate your circle, have the tough conversations, figure out what you want before you get into these long-term relationships and you start having children, and know yourself. If you need support on getting to know yourself and figuring out what your core values are, visit oshacerese.com. Make sure you book a discovery call and we can figure out which direction you need to go in. If you want to get into the healing program, and it's one single step at a time. It's a 6-week program to help you unpack, rediscover, and get a plan of action for your future. If you would like to pour into yourself, find out how to use your love languages and incorporate your love languages into your daily acts of self-love and self-care, and uncover why you may have blockages giving and receiving love, check out 5 Ways in 5 Days. That is a program that can be done in as little as 5 days and up to 60 days. And it comes with a coaching session. One single step at a time comes with coaching every week and a free guided journal, How to Beat Single. And then How to Beat Single is also available if you just want to do the work on your own. Again, all of this can be found at oshacerese.com. And also make sure you join the Intentional Love Collective if you are a hopeful romantic, if you are looking for love, if you are an intentional dater, you know what you want, you know what you're trying to do in relationship with somebody, you have your core values, you ready to get out there, you tired of swiping, you want something a little bit more curated, join the Intentional Love Collective, which is a growing community and database full of singles that I will be able to match and have intimate singles mixers and speed dating events with people that you're actually attracted to, that you're interested in, and you have shared values with based on the data that I have collected. And that could be found in the link in my bio. Let's leave you with a couple of journaling prompts and then we will wrap it up. Where do you draw the line between settling? No, what did I? Where did you draw? I'm sleepy, y'all. Where do you draw the line between setting healthy boundaries and being controlling? Because there is a difference, but a lot of people blur the lines. Where do you draw the line between setting healthy boundaries and being controlling? Also, have you ever felt uncomfortable with a friend and a partner interacting? Was it intuition, insecurity, or past experiences? And I'm not going to lie. I've never felt a way about my partners being around my friends or my family or whatever, but I did find out about a situation after the fact of someone close to me that was flirting with my ex-husband. And he told me, but he told me when we were in the middle of an argument versus telling me right after the moment. I think he didn't think I would believe him, one. And then he didn't want to come in between our relationship. But then when we arguing, he told me about it. So then I really didn't believe him. And I didn't believe him at all until it was confirmed by someone else. But it still didn't sway my thoughts about being trustworthy. I think I knew in hindsight that I didn't look at the signs because they were there. So once I got the confirmation and I thought back to the moment that he had told me about it, that he was talking about, I'm like, it was obvious. but I didn't see it because I didn't have those thoughts about that person. So now that I know, you know, I know what signs to look for and what to see. Um, Again, I'm going to trust my partner and my close friend or loved one, and one of y'all asses better have some damn values. Because if my partner is crossing boundaries, then I'm going to be looking for my friend or loved one to stand on business about them. And if my friend or loved one is the one crossing the boundary, then I'm going to look towards my partner to be the one to prevent it. And if neither one of them can, then both of their asses can go. So Z Dog says my line is thin. Basically, if it's disrespectful or inconsiderate, it's over the line. I agree. I agree. Well, I'm gonna let y'all sit on those journaling prompts. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you for giving me grace because again, I am tired. I gotta go do my yoga. I ain't gonna say I gotta go. I am getting to go do my yoga. And again, visit oshacerese.com, tap in with me, and stay tuned for tomorrow's show. Thank you, Z Dog, and for whoever else was watching but not commenting. I appreciate y'all for staying tuned, and I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later.